I hope you're doing well from wherever you're watching this channel, depending on your time zone. Now, when Okia Omtata told William Ruto that he will take him to court if he will not drop that issue of 3% house levy, William Ruto responded to him. And this is what he said. Let me just quote him. Those with payslip are lying to those without payslip because they don't want the housing fund levy deducted from their salary. Now listen to this. They want the jobless to continue struggling. I'm bringing this discussion because of that last statement. It is true, if you don't have a payslip, there's no way the government will cut the house levy from you because, again, you are not earning. You don't have a payslip. But for those who have, yes, they will cut you. But this second statement is where William Ruto is trying to trap the common mwananchi. Because then he's saying what? They want jobless to continue struggling. So the question is, if those with payslip are going to be cut, that 3% house levy, how is it going to benefit the jobless? Did he mean that those people who don't have a job will now afford the house? Because again, the other truth is that those people with the jobs, while they work on a salary, while they work on a payslip, they already have houses. I'm telling you, 70% of people who have jobs, they have houses. It is only the jobless, people who are struggling to pay rent in the city. That's why wataenda kwa mjengo, na ni wale wako kwa vitongoji huko chini, ni wale wako kwa slum, ndio wana struggle kulipa rent, because lazima waende kwa mjengo, waende kwa hizi kazi za uchuuzi, wafanye hizo kazi ndogo ndogo in the village there, or in the city or in the town, for them to be able to raise the rent house. So the question is Ruto trying to convince, no wonder this statement is not very clear at the end of the day, is he trying to convince the jobless that if those with payslip are going to pay house levy, then they are going to afford the house? That is where I'm getting confused with the William Ruto statement. But again, we can understand him. This is a political statement. Because one will argue that if they give money, there will be housing project. The question is, when Uhuru was not taxing the 1.5%, did we have housing program in this country? The answer is yes. So whether they are taxed or not, the housing project will go on, because what they need to do is just to give to private developers to do that job, and from there they will sell these houses, they will have money. So whether Kenyans are paying levy or not, this project will continue. The issue is that put it in the private hands. Wacha hao wafanya kazi ya kujenga na kuuza nyumba. Period. Willing buyer, willing seller. But then, because Ruto was giving a political statement for Kenyans to understand exactly what might happen or what is happening with the issue of housing, it is better you listen to the Principal Secretary for Housing and Urban Development. I'm talking about Principal Secretary because a Principal Secretary is the accounting officer of every department or ministry. These are accounting officers, and they are hired through Public Service Commission. They are hired on merits. Hiyo nafasi unapea watu kulingana na ile siasa wamepiga ama political appointment. No. For this one, even if it is political, you have to look for a person who has education that fit that position. Because that is the engine of the department. Yeye ndio kila kitu, the main advisor and the person who check on everything, on approval and whatever will happen in that department. That is the person. So, for you to understand, it is better you listen careful to Charles Hinga, Principal Secretary for Housing and Urban Development. What is his advice or what is his view? If you check on that, Charles Hinga's statement is contradicting William Ruto's statement. So Kenyans have to understand political statement and when it comes to serious matter. This is the views from Charles Hinga. Listen carefully. One of the rules of the Affordable Housing Fund is that you cannot get a house if you don't make contribution to the fund. Rules ziko simple and clear. You cannot get a house if you're not making contribution to the fund. So it's either you are contributing for you to get house, and if not, forget. So before you buy into William Ruto's statement, you have to understand that statement very clear. Hakuna vile wale Ruto amesema ni wale watu wameajiriwa kazi watatoa 3%, then at the end of the day, you are jobless, you are not employed by the government, you will end up getting that house. It will never happen. So that one is a lie. Kenyans should be very clear when they are reacting to the issue of housing. It will need you to contribute. Without contributing, forget. So you have to sweat to work for this thing for you to get. But those who have payslip understand very well that there is a game here. Because even if you work for 30 years, sababu let us assume umeajiriwa kazi ukiwa 30 years, sababu watu wengi wanaajiriwa hapo. Umeajiriwa ukiwa 30 years. Then you work for another 30 years, you are 60 retirement age. Hapo hata haujafikisha pesa nusu ya kununua hiyo nyumba. Kama wanakata hiyo 3%. And they are saying in 7 years time you can reclaim your money. How? Ni kama NSSF uko na mpango mzima wa kutumia ku reclaim that money. What about the interest that comes with that? It's not explainable. So treat William Ruto's statement as a political statement. Never take it serious. Whether people are going to contribute money or not. If really Ruto want to achieve this housing project, it will continue. It will continue because of one thing. He just need to leave this work in the hands of private developers. Peana kazi kwa watu wa private developers, wakuje, wa identify shamba, wajenge, then from there, they will give the house. Maybe the government can put a price there, a price tag, so that it is not wasi extort pesa kwa watu. Ikwe affordable, the manner in which the government has the plan, and again, those private developers are not going a loss. So it should be a win-win strategy for the buyer and for the seller. So no one is making loss. At the end of the day, those who are employed are not being swindled their money. That's a clear thing. So naona watu huko nje wanasema ya kwamba eti wale wako na pesa watakatwa wajenge nyumba zenye ziko affordable na sisi tupewe. Kwa njia gani? Hata wale hawatapata, sababu kufikisha hizo pesa ni kibarua kingine kikubwa sana. It's not easy. Unless if you have money, you just buy direct. And I will tell you one thing. At the end of the day, those people who will occupy these buildings, they are not the poor. Hata wale wako kwa payslip mshahara ya 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 hawatakuwa kwa hizo majumba. These are people who have money. So these houses will go to the rich, not the poor. Because the rich will manage to buy. And it will be surprising you see someone buying like 3, 4, 5 in different names. Then hata watapandisha bei juu na waanze kuuzia watu wengine baadaye. Ama waanze kukodisha. Because it will be willing buyer, willing seller. So wale watu wamekuwa wakikaa kule kwa slums. There's no way you will occupy these houses unless if the government will say that okay, people should occupy and pay rent, but that rent is kwa juu sana, ikuwa affordable. Kama ulikuwa unalipa 3,000 kwa rent, ulipe hapa 3,000 ama 2,500. That's how you can deal with the issue of slums. Lakini mambo ya kuambia watu mlipe, wale wanatakuja kukaa hapa sio wale wanakaa kwa slum, ni watu wametoka kule kwingine. You can never end this issue of slums in that way. It will never. So take William Ruto's position as a political statement, but take Hinga's position as the government position. Because that is the accounting officer. He is the man who is The cabinet secretary there is just for policy issues, but PS is the real engine of that department. The real man driving the vehicle there. PS. So you can see Ruto, in his statement, he would say like, if people will pay housing, there will be job opportunities to go and do construction work. Zimekuwa na hata asipoweka hiyo, si bado kuna uhuru ilikuwa inafanyika aje. So you have to ask yourself that question. And number two, you want to create a perception that when these houses are ready, we are going to occupy. Nani amedanganya? Charles Hinga anasema ya kwamba the only way to occupy is by paying. You contribute to get. You don't contribute, you forget. Period. I don't know your views, but let us meet in the comment section for continuation of this conversation. Otherwise, thank you so much for listening to me up to this far. May good God bless you and see you in our next video.